This is an actual headline at Drudge right now. If it's still up, I'm not sure. With the picture, by the way. White House, Border Patrol with whip, obviously horrific. This is on Drudge. You see a Border Patrol agent on a horse. And according to the picture, Drudge Report and others that have put this headline up apparently want you to believe this is a whip. It's a whip. The White House, of course, is forced to respond to that. Now, if you are not a liberal, meaning you're an intelligent person, because liberals are colossal morons, really some of the stupidest people on planet Earth, you would realize that is not, in fact, a whip. It is a rein for a horse, and they are not whipping anyone. They are turning illegal border crossers back to where they came from. Now, if you're a liberal, you believe people got whipped. He was telling me he was talking to a bunch of people. No, Jim, I'm sorry. Producer Jim had this argument with a bunch of people yesterday. Again, they're liberals. Folks, I want you to understand, liberals are not smart people. They are bathed in ignorance. The evidence is everywhere. I'll prove it to you at the end of this segment with a clip by Bill Maher. They don't know anything. I'm sorry to tell you, these are stupid people. I'm going to get even, Ed, why are you calling liberals stupid? Because they're stupid. They are. I'm really sorry. They're stupid. If you think that's a whip, you are a dumb person. It is not a whip. That's not Indiana Jones on the horse. That's a Border Patrol agent with horse reins. If you think it's a whip and you're a liberal, you're an idiot. I don't know what to tell you. And the media thinks you're an idiot. Here, the El Paso Times, apparently, on this Twitch, he covered this. The agent swung his whip menacingly, reports the El Paso Times, and major national outlets pass it on. It's not a whip. If you think it was a whip, you are probably a liberal, which means you're a moron. It just wasn't a whip, okay? Here's this reporter. What's her name? Shannon Pettypiece. Is that even a real name? Apparently, she works for NBC. She's the White House reporter. Quotes this piece. The agent swung his whip menacingly, charging his horse. It's not a whip. By the way, where are the fact checkers? Answer, the fact checkers are nowhere because they're clowns. Fact checkers aren't serious people. They're leftist propagandists. How does the media, again, mold stupid liberals and get them to believe things that aren't true? Very simply. They tell them lies that are easily falsified by doing just a modicum of basic research. Is that a whip? No, it's a rein. And dopey liberals who never create a choke point by doing their own homework just believe it. Like the clown morons they are. You got NBC puts it out there. Doesn't bother to fact check that at all. Then you have other morons. Joy Reid, the gold medal winner in the dopey media talking head Olympics. You can always count on her to say something stupid. She is incapable of doing even basic research. Joe has been researching her homophobic blog post for a long time. He has not been able to come up with an answer. She said she had the FBI on it. Joe's been at it. He's been very busy. Joe has not been able to come up with an answer if Joy wrote those posts or not, which is weird. Well, here's Joy Reid. This is beyond repulsive. Are these images from 2021 or 1851? Of course, making a comparison, what you would think, to slavery and elsewhere, because that's what Joy does, because she is the queen of misinformation. Here's another example of why liberals are so ignorant. The media tells them things. Liberals don't create a choke point for the media. They don't fact check the media. They just propagate media lies. This is a lie. It was a lie. And they count on these so-called thought leaders on the left to propagate the lie, and they never check it. I promise you, I hear information from people, I check it, even on the conservative side. That's why sometimes we're not first, but we're usually right. Here's another example of why libs are so darn stupid all the time. He was whipped. Here's an article by CNBC by Berkeley Lovelace Jr., a human being apparently incapable of doing anything real for a living outside of propagating fake news. Here, listen to this headline. This is, again, why liberals are in their house with a double mask, 3 face shields, wrapped in a bubble suit with gloves on, spraying themselves with Lysol every 10 minutes because of headlines like this by Berkeley Lovelace Jr. Love to see Berkeley Lovelace Sr. COVID is officially America's deadliest pandemic as U.S. fatalities surpass 1918 flu estimates. Oh, my gosh. I can't take the stupid today, folks. I'm sorry. So again, you want to see why liberals are so dumb? They believe the Border Patrol are whipping people at the southern border and that COVID is the most deadly pandemic the U.S. has ever seen, at least since 1918, because they can't read and do homework. If you go down the piece all the way towards the end, Berkeley Lovelace Jr. is not counting on you actually reading the piece. He's just counting on you clicking on the headline. You will find out that it's not even close to the most deadly pandemic we've seen in U.S. history because you adjust these things for population size. For Berkeley Lovelace Jr., if you lived on an island with 50 people, right, and 10 people died, right? So 10 people died. You'd be like, that's 1/5 of the island. My gosh, that's really bad. And then 50 years later, 12 people die on an island from a different pandemic. Oh my gosh, more people died. It's the deadliest thing ever. And you find out 5,000 people lived on the island. Would you say this? No, you wouldn't, because Berkeley Lovelace Jr. is apparently unaware of how to do even basic math. So hysterical headline, and down later in the piece, he knows, or she, I don't even know what it is, he knows liberals won't read this thing, right? Don't care, by the way. Here, down further. It says in 1918, for example, the U.S. population, that's when the Spanish flu epidemic broke out, the U.S. population was less than a third of today's, with an estimated 103 million people living in the U.S. Today, there are nearly 330 million people living in the U.S. That means the 1918 flu killed 1 of every 150 Americans, compared to 1 in 500 who have died from COVID so far. And that's assuming dying from COVID and not with COVID, which are not the same thing. Again, why are liberals so stupid? Because they are guided around like mules, like stupid mules, like beasts of burden by their media masters, and they never, ever bother to fact check anything ever. You know who explained this perfectly? A liberal, by the way, Bill Maher, again, about a week ago, talking about how liberals never do their homework and are morons, and they think things that aren't true because they're idiots. They follow Joy Reid, CNBC, and elsewhere, hysterical headlines, and they never, ever do any homework. And then their big tech people block them from getting to the truth with things about ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, vaccines, and elsewhere. And they love being blocked because they want to be servants. They love serving their media and government gods. Here's Bill Maher summing up their ignorance perfectly. Check this out.
I have to cite a survey that was in the New York Times, which is a liberal paper, so they weren't looking for this answer. But they were talking about this. The question was, what do you think the chances are that you would have to go to the hospital if you got COVID? Mm-hmm. And Democrats thought that was way higher than Republicans. 41% of Democrats, and the answer is between 1% and 5%.
Okay.
41% of Democrats thought it was over 50%. Another 28% thought it was 20 to 49%. So 70% of Democrats thought it was way, way, way higher than it really was. Liberal media has to take a little responsibility for that, for scaring the shit out of people. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it's much harder for every touring act to sell tickets in blue states.
Oh, interesting.
They're afraid to go out of the house.
I see.
Whereas in red states, it's all good to go.
There you go. So if you're in a blue state, don't go out, sit at home, die in your house, wait to die because the lethal coronavirus, the worst pandemic in human history, is going to come to get you. Yeah, none of that's actually true. But you go to a red state, people go out and live their lives. Proper precautions, do your thing. I feel sorry for these liberals, I do, because they choose to be stupid. And imagine what kind of life that must be. Choose to be so dumb all the time, to never believe anything in what you believe is wrong. Chance of being hospitalized, 50%. It's actually 1 to 5%. You're off by a factor of 10.